Pandemonium reigns.
Pandemonium reigns. Brought to you by us.
Us.
Sponsors on deck, just not yet. Coming soon though. Brought to you by you, because you can like and subscribe. Our downloads are shooting up when we drop episodes, and just can't say thank you enough for that. So thank you for that. But if you're not liking and subscribing, how do I say this? You suck.
We don't like you. Just kidding.
We don't like you. Hey, let's talk the other bowl games, a playoff that are going to be heavily watched. Let's start with the playoff game. Let's start with the heavy ones. Heavy ones up first. Georgia and Ohio State. The Buckeyes, the Bulldogs. Georgia is favored in the spread at 6.5. Man, that excites me. One score? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If Ohio State can get this done, it will be because of their dudes on the edge on the offensive
Oh, yeah.
side. It'd be because of Marvin Harrison and Igbuka, Wakanda Forever, however you say his name. No racism applied. Love him. He's a baller. If Ohio State gets the Georgia that we got, now I think that our offense is a lot more schematic based, complex routes, stuff like that. Ohio State is a little more, I don't want to say basic. They rely less on the system, I guess I should say, because they've got talent. They got talent everywhere.
Absolutely.
A large part of our production, I'm not afraid to say it, is because of our system. It's because of Coach Heupel. It's because of that Heupel and Golish relationship. But I think Ohio State's going to have to get into a scoring match probably. And if I'm Georgia, I'm doing my best to keep this ball on the ground and say you can't score if the ball's not in your hands. So, and I think just something Georgia's more than capable of doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 6.5 off the dome feels low. It feels about 18.5 too low for me, frankly. I mean, I'm serious. My gut just tells me that Georgia, the disrespect card that Ohio State's trying to play, like,
yeah,
we're the most disrespected playoff team ever. Oh my God. Georgia has a way of like, they've gotten zero disrespect, but they're going to like assume Ohio State's supposed disrespect and just find a way to grind them into like coffee grinds or something like that. Like that's the feeling that I have about this game.
Sure.
That's what I think of Georgia. That's hard for me to say. If you know me, which y'all do by now, it feels way too low. Over and under of 62, dude. That feels wild to me as well. We talked about in our Orange Cast, Tennessee and Clemson having an over under of 63.5 felt high to me. Mm-hmm. This feels high to me, man. It feels like Georgia could just, like you just said, sit on the ball if they want to. Mm-hmm. Something tells me that they kind of want to put on a show, really, is what I think, but that they're more than capable of just sitting on the ball. No one player takes on like that disrespect, chip on the shoulder thing better than Stetson Bennett. So, I expect that he's going to be dropping dimes out there the way that he's done at his best this season. I think Ohio State needs to catch him on a bad day, or they need to get to him, which has just not been done a lot this season. Mm-hmm. He's been also very good at eluding. If he has had pressure in his face, I mean, he's been magical at it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they need to cause havoc for him. They need to speed him up any way that they can. And just here's the thing: if I'm thinking about Ohio State, I can't think about anything else. None of the good, because of their performance against Michigan, the way that they got just ran over by the time the game was over. I think Michigan's a better running team, maybe, than Georgia, because they've just not done it the way that they usually do it. They're more than capable, but they haven't just sat back and handed it off to 6 different running backs.
Yeah.
The way that they've done it over Kirby's career. They've been more than willing to let Stetson throw it around and things like that. So, again, I can't get that Michigan game out of the head for me.
Fair.
For Ohio State, I think it's going to repeat, if not worse.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm gonna predict the game to be close. And the reason I'm doing that is because the last time that Ohio State was in a similar situation, and I said, man, they're about to get romped. They won.
Yeah.
That was 2002 against Miami. Okay. Now we've talked about this. And if you're listening right now, you're saying, well, they shouldn't have won because of defensive pass interference. Okay. If that's your argument, everybody was saying going into that game, they don't stand a chance. They were in it.
Absolutely.
I mean, they took it to overtime. So, say what you want. I think Ohio State will find a way to keep it close. I'm going to say something like 28-31, 24-31, somewhere around that marker. Will not be surprised if it's 41-28. Something like that.
Yeah. I think and this is like asking someone to cure cancer almost, but like they need to try to capture the way that Alabama's been, frankly, because they're capable, because of the receivers and the quarterback that they have. It'd be one thing if I'm saying, yeah, Michigan, man, they've got to throw with anticipation. They've got to streak down the field. They've got to hit those receivers and create chaos. Ohio State has the players to do that.
Yeah.
To get favorable matchups with their guys if they can, because Georgia doesn't give you many favorable matchups. Mm-hmm. So they've got to figure out a way. How can they throw with anticipation, before the guys breaking? How can they do that? How can they keep Stroud upright? Because Georgia creates more havoc than anyone, whether they blitz, whether they rush 3 or 4, they are just so sound and so dominant in the front. I think that they have to try to find a way to sprinkle just ways that Bryce Young throws the ball down the field, throws with anticipation, the way that the receivers, again, looking for the ball as soon as they make the break. What chaos can they cause? Because I think, like you said, that the outside guys have to win this game.
Sure. I also think there's a bit of, like you said, the disrespect factor. I mean, they've been told they shouldn't be here. Everybody's pointing to that Michigan loss, which I think it was with 4 minutes left, 6 minutes left. I mean, it was a game, and then they let 2 long runs go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're right there for 4 quarters, arguably. So, and they've heard this whole time they don't even deserve to be there. I mean, you're going to get romped. Good teams show up. So, I mean, we'll find out ultimately.
Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding. We'll see. I'll predict Ohio State to cover, though.
Okay. I'm going to say Georgia covers. But I will say this. That's my thoughts on the game. I'm so thankful that this is not our national championship because, frankly, I know that game will kick off. The national championship is going to kick off at like 9:30 Eastern. That's going to be fun. But I would be tempted to be out on the golf course again if that was the case. If this was our national championship, because no matter who wins between TCU and Michigan, which we'll get to in a minute, that's who I'm riding with. Oh my gosh. Can y'all please go win a championship one way or the other? Please.
Well, if you're not on the golf course, Top Golf will be open, I'm sure.
Hey, you're right. I might be. Yeah, they got TVs. I
was about to say, but they do have TVs.
I will not be there. Nope. Can't do it.
We'll find something else to go to. The Horned Frogs and the Wolverines. Oh, back up real quick. Georgia and Ohio State. Luckily for Georgia, they're getting this as another home game. TCU, Michigan. Kirby Smart's 3rd national championship appearance. I'll stop. Okay, I'll stop. My bad. All right, I'll stop. Michigan, TCU. Everybody is just saying, man, TCU just doesn't stand a chance. They're about to get romped. Michigan has a mismatch problem.
Yes, they do.
And it's this Quentin Johnston kid, and he is going to be look for TCU to go to him early and often. 3rd and 8, Johnston. 1st and 10, Johnston. I mean, and we saw what Dugan, I don't know how you say his name, how Max, how he can rise to the occasion and what kind of chip is going to be on his shoulder coming off of that Kansas State loss. People are counting TCU out, and I just don't know that that's right. If the branding, I'm going to do this again. If the branding was different, if that was a orange Longhorn with the exact same players, would you be doing that? And I'm not so sure you would. I think it's just the brand that people have a problem with and are just associating. Oh well, they don't show up to these things. TCU playoff national. No. I think that's what they're subconsciously doing. And I'm just telling you, Quentin Johnston is going to have a long NFL career.
Oh gosh, yes.
So buckle up. Especially, and if I'm a Michigan fan, I would hope that I'm thinking realistic, going, hey, we might want to double him most of the night. If we lose, it's not because of him, it's because of some other 3-star, 2-star receiver that they have,
Yeah.
or because Max Duggan should have won the Heisman that night,
Yeah.
So, thoughts?
Yeah. Just going to kind of have the same spin that I've had here. And the first thing I noticed that really, really stands out to me, because the line is 7.5 in Michigan's favor. They can cover that. Frankly, I think TCU will cover. Michigan will win. That's my gut feeling. But looking at the over under of 58.5, I think this is one where that could get really pushed. I mean, seriously, I think Michigan's going to be able to run the ball because they've done that with that offensive line being freaking road. Just, man, there's some warriors. They're huge. They're sound in what they do. They do it well. They can certainly run the ball, I think. But like you said, Quentin Johnston, Max Duggan, TCU has not turned the ball over. They are very balanced offensively. They do pass it a little bit more, about 70 yards more than they run it on average. But they're very balanced. They're very capable, I hope. And I don't think surely Michigan will have any, we're like overlooking them, planning ahead for a potential playoff championship appearance. But again, my gut feeling is that TCU covers, Michigan wins. And I think that 58.5 is very vulnerable in this case, probably more so than any of the other over-unders we've talked about. I think this could turn into a bit of a scoring match because, again, will TCU stop Michigan's run? Then on that, in that factor, will they stop the play action and J.J. McCarthy's legs and arm?
Yeah.
But, Michigan has been very good defensively, so will they be able to stop all that TCU can throw at you? I just think that's a very vulnerable 58.5, could hit the over there.
Agreed. Especially on that over-under part. Yeah, I can see this going over big time. TCU's run defense, or defense altogether, is something that doesn't get enough attention.
Yeah.
They play really, really well in a conference that experienced a lot of parity this year. It was not top heavy. I mean, Iowa State was your worst team in the conference, and their record was bad, but they weren't bad.
Right.
So say what you want to, but I think TCU's defense, and sometimes it's those guys that defensively who have a chip on their shoulder, who are pissed, and they bring the physical element, and that, I mean, anyway, I'll end this whole section by saying this. Be surprised, be shocked, be surprised if Ohio State pulls that win out. Do not be surprised if TCU does.
That is very well said.
I think TCU is more than capable of doing this. Listen, if Michigan comes out and they are well balanced, which is what I expect them to do, they run well, they pass well, they defend well. They're averaging 85 rushing yards allowed per game. Well, TCU's only at 149 though. I mean,
yeah.
So anyway, if the books, if everything happens on paper, like we think it's going to, Michigan's going to win probably by 10, 14, maybe, maybe less, maybe a touchdown. I don't know, man. There's just something about when the media just starts pointing, oh, no, they don't stand a chance. And everybody you talk to, no, they don't even deserve to be there, yada, yada, yada. Look out. Because all Sonny Dykes and Max Duggan and these guys have done all years is just prove you wrong. So, and I think Max Duggan is a problem in himself.
Oh,
I mean, he was in New York, for Pete's sake.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be some mismatch problems for Michigan, and they're going to have to get that figured out. With that said, though, I'll take the under. Actually, take the under. I think it'll be below 58, and I will take TCU to cover again.
Yeah, won't be shocked at all. I mean, really looking forward to this game and hope it lives up to a playoff semifinal.
Yeah.
Hope it lives up to that. And again, I feel like right now, the only thing that would really surprise me if TCU runs away with it. Everything else seems totally possible. TCU upset, Michigan handling them, but I'm feeling that TCU will cover that, but lose.
Sure. I think that's fair. Moving on. Iowa and Kentucky. Kidding.
Woo!
No one cares. Alabama, Kansas State. I don't care about Kentucky or Iowa. I will say that it is funny that Iowa is favored at 2.5.
Yeah.
Alabama and Kansas State. Here's how I want to start this off. What Alabama shows up? Do we get the 2008 Sugar Bowl that played against Utah? Do we get those guys? If we do, you're in a world of trouble, and I think we'll find out early. I think we'll know in the first quarter if they want to be there or not.
Certainly.
Basically the same for any New Year's Six game. I think we'll know, and don't expect that from Kansas State. I think if you get that from Kansas State, you just go ahead and need to. We'll shut the podcast down. Color me surprised. I don't know anything. I think Alabama's about to get Kansas State's absolute best.
I do too.
When Kansas State can now walk into a recruit of a home and say, "Here's a ring." Yeah, it might be just the Sugar Bowl, but it was against Bama. The guys that are
Sugar.
The guys
Sugar
that are
Bowl
pursuing.
ring.
Yeah.
But if you'll remember, that playoff is about to expand. TCU got into it before it expanded. Help that be us.
Well said. I think you and I have both kind of come to the terms that Will Howard is a better quarterback, at least for Kansas State. I don't know about overall, but situationally for those guys, for the Purple Cats in particular. And can Deuce Vaughn, can he get lost in the traffic? Because the dudes at Bama are massive. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Can he if he gets lost in the shuffle on a continuous basis? My mind again keeps going back. I think it was 2003, the 2003 Big 12 championship. Oklahoma had some big dudes on the defensive front, and they're just Darren Sproles, down the sideline, up the middle, just getting lost everywhere. And I'm pretty sure they won that one pretty convincingly. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually think Alabama's going to show up. I think they'll be ready. And I think that poses a problem for Kansas State, especially when you got dudes like Will Anderson and Bryce Young who have made the decision to play. I think that changes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think Alabama can win this game. I think Kansas State can keep this close probably until the fourth, but ultimately I don't think so. I think the Tide's going to roll.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Alabama wins by 14 with the capabilities of winning by much more, unless, like you said, they don't show up. Will Anderson and Bryce Young, those guys opting in, man.
Yeah.
Even more respect to two guys that I have given more respect to for Alabama players. I mean, just blown away by them because, seriously, that's 2 top 5 picks right there with a lot on the line. In a game like we're talking about, for Alabama, a New Year's Six Bowl is such a indicator of a bad season. For everybody else, it's like, congrats, man. That's a huge achievement. Props to you. Alabama, though, it's not that, and these guys are opting into that game. The question for me is, who will Bryce be throwing the ball to? Because they've got guys in the portal. They've got guys that have not shown up this year in the way that we certainly expected them to.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I trust Bryce Young enough that it just really doesn't matter in this game to me who he's going to be throwing to. I trust Alabama to cover this 6.5. Like I said, I think this over/under of 56 is in severe danger of getting smashed.
It could be.
I can see this game being in the 30s apiece. That alone would do it. But I can certainly see, like I said, Alabama running away with it. I don't expect Kansas State to fold. I don't know how much they'll be able to, how many issues they'll be able to pose for Alabama. I trust their offense much more than I trust their defense. Let me say that. And then for Deuce Vaughn, like you said, getting lost in traffic in this game, how much did he get lost in traffic just in terms of the sport? He's got 1,425 yards. That's Blake Corum level.
Yeah.
If he was healthy, he would have been in New York the same way that Hendon Hooker would have been if he was healthy. That's the way that you have to think about it. He put up Blake Corum numbers. Kansas State doesn't have the offensive line that Blake Corum was running behind.
Sure.
Put up great numbers. Again, in a very, very a conference that had so much parity this season. So that's the way I feel about the game. Alabama's going to cover. I think 14, 20-point win for them. Won't be surprised, though, by, again, anything but Kansas State kind of running away with it, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And again, that Kansas State-Michigan comparison, which was solid, by the way, on a Kansas State schedule, arguably more difficult than a Michigan schedule.
Very true. That's very true. It's funny. We talk about Ohio State and their schedule because they lost to Michigan, but we don't talk about Michigan's schedule all that much. Their schedule wasn't even as good as Ohio State's because Ohio State at least scheduled Notre Dame. They didn't turn out to be who they were thought to be, ranked top 10, top 5 preseason, but they did turn out an 8-4 season despite some very odd early season losses. So we criticize Ohio State's schedule while we don't really talk about Michigan's schedule probably enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that would be the narrative if they had lost that game, if the roles had been reversed. I do want to ask you this. Are you surprised at all by the spread?
6.5? No, I'm not because it's a bowl game, because I think Vegas has assumed that how much are these guys going to care? If this was, I'm not going to say if this is a conference game, but let's say this is early season, Alabama plays Kansas State instead of Texas. Maybe it's at Kansas State. Maybe it's at Bryant-Denny. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Then I think it's probably more like 10.5, 13.5.
Fair.
But I think Vegas is probably seeing this. They're probably like, well, how much are these guys actually going to care? They I think should have adjusted it up to probably closer to 10 with Bryce Young and Will Anderson being in this game.
Like a 9.5?
Probably, like a 9.5. I'd feel really good about that. That'd be a tougher bet for me because then you get into two score territory. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what Vegas is probably looking at. Where are the guys going to be at? Meaningless for Alabama in the sense that it's a New Year's Six, not a playoff.
Fair enough. I can agree with that. So with that said, I'm going to take Alabama, and I'm going to take Alabama to cover.
Yep.
Easy enough.
Absolutely.
Easy enough. We can talk about Tulane and USC if you want to. I don't really care to traffic down that road. I'd like to spend a little more time on Penn State, Utah, and then call it a day.
Just go Tulane, please. Please go Tulane, please. Jordan Addison opted out, so maybe that will impact the game. Gosh, I hope Tulane runs away with that. But I'm also, like you, much more intrigued by Penn State and Utah.
Well, before we get there, the spread for USC Tulane is at 2.
Not a good vibe or a feeling for me. If I were to be a Trojan, I would never.
If Tulane wins this game, if they win it by 2, they should go up and do USC's like little hand sign like they do like this.
Oh yeah, dude.
Podcast is just 2. It's like the peace sign. That would be epic. Tulane's not a pushover. Tulane is not a pushover. Look for USC to get Tulane's best, and that could be a problem. And don't look for Tulane's coach to not be in Tulane long.
Yeah.
Penn State, Utah.
Willie Fritz.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm taking Utah. I'm taking Utah to cover, and it's only 2.5, and it's simply based off last year. Same quarterback, Cameron Rising. He's back. Rose Bowl appearance again against a Big Ten East team. I know that it's not Ohio State, but it is a man. Penn State. Everybody recognizes that logo anywhere. I like Cam Rising more than I do Sean Clifford.
Oh yeah.
And Clifford's in his 13th year.
Oh man, I was thinking it was like 17. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's up there. Cam Rising is just one of those dudes. He's like, tell me what you need, I'll get it done. Let's make it happen. I think the 52.5 for me, that feels high.
Yeah.
Curious to know what you think about that.
No, I'm with you on that.
Okay.
I actually have a lot more respect for Utah's offense, like you were talking about, Rising over Sean Clifford. The way that they were able to run with just dudes that were converted to running back or, hadn't done it for long, or even seasoned guys. I mean, it really didn't matter who Utah was running because of the lanes they were creating, the effort from those guys. I like Utah I feel really, really strongly about Utah in this game. I certainly like them to cover that low spread that you talked about. Mm-hmm. And I really like their defense in this game because you don't know what you're going to get from Sean Clifford a lot of the times. I mean, he's is there something with those guys, those Penn State guys? And I'm looking at you, Will Levis. Is there something about those guys where they're just wild cards? They just going to put it in traffic. I mean, what is it about those guys?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I might throw my entire bet allowance, whatever I've got in the account on that line in Utah's favor.
While you're on that whole Will Levis thing, my mind just went to the NFL and the mock drafts and all this stuff. Fans, be listening out because me and Mike, I haven't told him this yet, but we're going to do a mock draft ourselves, a round 1 mock draft. So be on the lookout for that in the spring before before the draft hits, and expect Will Levis to be low. Penn State's rushing attack could cause a problem, but I fully expect for Utah to play physical, to be scrappy. I think Utah will be able to say, throw it, I dare you, and said we're gonna make Sean Clifford beat us. We like our chances this way. Your dudes might have been highly recruited out of high school as opposed to ours, but ours are pissed off. So have fun with that. Utah is not a team that and I've said this since preseason, not a team that I want to draw. I just do not want to draw these guys. They ended up going 10-3. Disappointing loss to Florida when Anthony Richardson,
was still Superman.
Yeah, when he ran wild. But you talk about a team that's beat USC twice, and now they're licking their chops again. Oh, we get another blue blood to go against? Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Absolutely.
And props to Kyle Whittingham for staying in Salt Lake City, man, or wherever University of Utah is. Wherever. So, Utah and the cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Betting my house on that one.
Yep. Well, it's Thursday. It's at the time of this recording, we are about 2.5 hours away from Florida State, Oklahoma. So we're just going to touch on this real quick. Here's how quick I'm going to do this. Go Noles.
Go Noles. Man, gosh, I just saw something else I really want to bet, and that is the 10-point spread in favor of the Noles.
Yeah.
Don't like Oklahoma.
Nope.
I think that Florida State really, listen, we talk about bowls being meaningless. This is not meaningless for Florida State. No. Momentum has been a very tricky thing for them. Mm-hmm. They've got to capture it. They've got to carry it into 2023. They've got a lot of guys coming back. A lot to be excited about for sure in Tallahassee. So do not slip up against I'm going to say middling Oklahoma Sooner squad. Whoever they have playing, I don't even know. Mm-hmm. Do not slip up. Do not lose momentum again because it's real right now. You can carry it in 23, and you have to if you're Florida State. You absolutely have to.
Yep. Go Noles. Very interested in Texas-Washington tonight. That's going to be fun. And here's the one time a year where I'll be rooting for the Irish. Go beat the Gamecocks.
Oh, please, 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 please.
And how are we feeling real quick about this? This is the final thing. Promise. How are we feeling about Sam Hartman to the Irish, possibly?
I feel the same way that I did about Jordan Addison getting tampered with, being recruited, being a player on a roster that got recruited. He had a favorite landing spot at the time before he entered the portal. So that's disgusting, and that's what we have to figure out a way to get out of the game.
So you're saying that's going on with Hartman and Notre Dame?
Well, again, they were the perceived landing spot before he entered the portal. So, yeah, it's hard to convince me that there wasn't something wrong there.
I did not put 2 and 2 together. Wow. Yeah. Well said. Or, yeah. Okay. Wow.
Gotta go. It's gotta go. Gotta get that out.
Yeah. You got to figure that out. Got to put some boundaries on this NIL stuff. Hey, that's all we got for you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you for letting us tickle your ears. Make sure you like and subscribe. Again, if you don't, you suck. But keep listening because we appreciate you letting Dan and Mike hang out in your ears. As always, have a fantastic New Year's Eve. Stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. You're not gonna drink and drive, and Mike's not gonna cut his hair. It's a deal. It's a done deal.
These are facts. Facts.
There is a strong case that if Tennessee wins by 40, that Mike will have cut his hair.
More like I'll never cut my hair.
Okay.
Never.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Maybe if we lose by 40. We love you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Enjoy your New Year's. Kiss your babies for us. Oh, wow, that's creepy. I don't know. That just kind of flew out of my mouth. I'm going to go ahead and sign off because now I sound like a pedophile. We love you guys. God bless. Go
GBO.
Balls. Don't turn me into the sex offender list. Bye.